this and that, get some help you need without having like that judgment from anyone or any person, really just honing in and trying to see, what kind of knowledge it is. It's like everybody's been there and it's a place of genuine, help that they want to do for you.
Hmm. Yeah. So I feel like being in the army and the Marines, that like must have forced you to grow up quite quickly mentally. So when you had returns and like life afterwards, was that did growing up quicker kind of make that harder to reintegrate back into society and like find other people with similar viewpoints and
Oh,
attitudes?
that's a good question. So yes and no. I'm gonna say yes because with my parents, like I said, they were 1921 when they had me, so I had to grow up pretty quick with them. When I was about 5 years old, they treated me like an adult, and it wasn't necessarily like the act on your own, be independent, but it was just some of the ways that they would talk to me and so forth. They expected me to act was older, so I always kind of had that chip on my shoulder. All my friends were older than me because it was one of those deals where it was like I got along with the older kids more because I can be somewhat more mature. Besides in the classroom, I'd be the class clown, but outside of school, it'd be like the older kids because I was, holding myself to be more mature. So, yes, it did help a bit just because I was the leader in there. So it was like at no point in time, I was able to just be the one just running around, acting, young, being like, I didn't know any better. Like anytime I got in trouble, you know exactly what you did. So it was one of those from an accountability standpoint, like you mess up, yes, I did it, move on, and it was
Mm-hmm.
something where it was like you needed to do, as in, realizing I needed to be around the right people. I just was fortunate. I went in a Facebook group and I put in there to one of the guys, Zach Babcock, and I was like, hey, you're an honor. He actually got out of prison. He flipped his life around and started a 6-figure podcasting business, and really took off on his podcasting journey and really started healing himself. So I commented in there and I'm like, hey, brother, I really appreciate you and everything you're doing. And then one of his guys from his team, which is one of my good friends now, he messaged me and he was like, hey, I'm an army officer. I just got out. I can definitely help you if you need anything. So from there, it was awesome because I had that community. And then he dropped a course, $47 to be able to build your own podcast. So I went over there, I bought the course, I joined his monthly group, and it was something where it was like, you know what, I need to be on this call because when I wanted to start a podcast and really start diving into these issues and like sharing the information with people, my friends, my old friends, are like stuck in that little box or whatever the reason is. They're at that point in life. They were like, podcasting is stupid. Why would you want to do that? So it was different, getting in that right room because I was like anticipating these answers, and I was protecting myself. And it was like, okay, you want to start a podcast? Why? Oh, what are we talking about? And then we start talking about things, and they're like, you know what? That's actually a really good point. You actually been through a lot. Do you give yourself some grace for what you actually went through and how you persevered? I'm like, what are you talking about? No one's ever talked to me like this. So it was one of those two where it led me into that. And then even um, not too in July, he had an event out in St. Louis, and I went out there, and it was awesome as well because it was like knowing people on Facebook's cool, but meeting them in person is crazier. So for me, it was like
Mm-hmm.
the whole meet people on the internet thing as a kid you hear, and then it was like meeting these people, and I didn't even know them. They're like, hey man, I really want to know you on a personal level. So it was talking, and then it was really like, hey, if you ever need anything, and it was like 6 different people that like I felt like I connected with them my whole life, and I just met them, with probably knew them within a year. But it was one of those where it's like we built that relationship, and it was something where I go through that where it's like it's hard to trust people, and you don't really know, and then you get around the right people, and it's like completely different because initially you're thrown off, and then it's awesome because you start looking at it, you're like, they actually care about you. They want to help you. They ask about, oh, you're married. How's your marriage? How is it with a little one and try to juggle the business, and how do you find time for yourself, and getting all these little tips that like they wish they either could have had or what they believe what can help me as well.